An indirect question is when we have a question, but instead of just asking the question, we start with something called a question phrase. For example, do you know? If you walk up to someone and you just ask, where is the bank? Some people will find that rude. And it's also weird because they might not know where the bank is. So if we ask, do you know where the bank is? It sounds more polite, and it shows that we understand that they might not know where it is. So now, let's go ahead and look at how we can make indirect questions when we have a question word, such as who, what, where, when, how, or why. Again, we start with a question phrase. Here are some of the most common question phrases. Do you know? Do you have any idea? Could you tell me? Would you happen to know? May I ask? And after the question phrase, you add your question word. So if your question is, where is the bank? You might start with, do you know where? Then you take, is the bank, from where is the bank, and you change it to make it look like an answer. The bank is. Do you know where the bank is? If your question is, how old are you? You might start with, may I ask how old? Then you take are you from how old are you, and you change it to make it look like an answer. You are. May I ask how old you are? If your question is, when are we leaving? You might start with, do you have any idea when? Then you take are we from when are we leaving, and you change it to make it look like an answer. We are. Do you have any idea when we are leaving? And sometimes we don't have a question phrase. Sometimes we just have a statement, such as, I don't know, I was wondering, or I'd like to know. So if the question is, where did she study? You might start with, I'd like to know where. Then you take did she study from where did she study, and you change it to make it look like an answer. She studied. I'd like to know where she studied. And we can also do this with yes-no questions. For yes-no questions, we usually use if or whether. If the question is, are you British? Again, start with the question phrase or statement, and then add if or whether. For example, I'd like to know if, or may I ask whether? Then you take the question, are you British, and make it look like an answer. You are British. I'd like to know if you are British. Finally, we often use indirect questions when asking for someone to help us with something. And here, it really shows them, I know that it might not be possible for you to help me. It's okay if you say no. In these situations, we often start with question phrases such as, do you think you could? Is there any chance you could? I was wondering if you could. Or, would it be possible for you to? Then you just add the verb. Do you think you could help cook dinner this evening? Is there any chance you could help me fix my car? I was wondering if you could feed my dog while I'm gone. Would it be possible for you to pick me up tomorrow? So yeah, that's why and how we make indirect questions. Thank you for watching. And if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I usually make about 3 to 5 new English learning videos each week. So if you're interested in learning more, please make sure to follow if you're watching on Facebook, or subscribe if you are watching on YouTube.